made this video at the time of the No Kings March in Oakland, but quite frankly, I was so, I would have to say demoralized by the march that I didn't have the stomach to do anything with it. My reason for feeling that way? Well, in the first place, you had the liberals who were really the ones who organized the whole event. And they have no answer to Trump and the MAGA Republicans. This was my side, which I feel had some of the answers, and I was hoping to find some people on the left, some socialists, who would, to one extent or another, at least have some sort of view along these same lines. But I couldn't. So, first of all, I went and interviewed somebody from California's Peace and Freedom Party. Now, just a little bit of background. The Peace and Freedom Party is now in collaboration with the Green Party in doing their best to ensure that a Republican gets elected as governor of California. This is just a repeat of what they did in 2024 when they did their level best to get Trump elected as president. So, a little bit of background to the California governor's race. Here is a poll of the present candidates. And in California, the primaries are this weird thing where the top two candidates are the ones who run in November's election. And so there's so many Democrats running that it's possible that there's only two Republicans, and it's possible that these two Republicans be in the top slot. And the Greens and Peace and Freedom are collaborating to siphon off as many votes as they can to help ensure that it's only the two Republicans who end up running for governor. So, in any case, I went and interviewed somebody from the Peace and Freedom Party. As you will see, in keeping with their, in practice, support for the Republicans, they also, in effect, call for the victory of Putin's invasion of Ukraine and also have no support for the women life freedom movement in Iran. So I followed the Peace and Freedom Party a little bit, and supposedly you stand for peace and freedom, but yet you excuse Putin's fascistic invasion of Ukraine. You say, oh, it's all NATO's fault. Okay, well, explain to me why you don't.
We don't excuse the invasion. We're opposed to the invasion.
We're just wondering.
The problem is massive war in Europe, right? And why we're opposed to NATO. So we're opposed to all of those military alliances.
So how do you stop it? So based on your logic, then there should not have been a military intervention to stop Hitler's invading Europe.
I think it's up to the countries to defend themselves.
Well, Ukraine is defending itself.
I wish we lived in a different world.
So
we're not opposed to Ukraine defending itself.
Well, how can it defend itself if it doesn't get arms? I mean, with shotguns, can it defend itself with slingshots or shotguns?
Why? I don't know. Because money runs our politics. I think it's a real problem. I think it's a real problem that we've had this military bill.
Well, and how about the countries that were defending themselves? How about the countries that were
John, are you trying to interview me about the Peace and Freedom Party or about this particular issue?
Well, that's one issue. The other issue that I have is, where has the Peace and Freedom Party ever come out in open, direct support for women life freedom? Because for the women life freedom, because I was at a number of protests.
In Iran?
Yes, yeah, because I was at a number of protests. A couple of years ago.
And we had an Iranian woman there. Who who and we had Iranian people in the audience who are for freedom. They're just opposed to U.S. invading their country.
Well, everybody in Iran. But I was at.
So you're saying you were at a protest and we weren't there?
Hold on.
That's the problem?
All the protests that I've been at of the Iranian diaspora here in the Bay Area, there was nobody except for myself and one other person. There was nobody from the left there, including Peace and Freedom Party.
Okay,
so why is that? I'm talking about a few years ago.
I think that it's possible that, I don't know.
They were never there.
I think it's possible that people just don't go to everything.
I was not going to everything. That was the most important movement of its time at that time. I'm talking about 2022. And again, early this year. It was the most important movement in the world. So if nobody from the left was there, including Peace and Freedom, the only conclusion...
You want to blame the whole left, or you just,
Just about the whole left, but
okay.
Peace and Freedom Party
blame the whole left.
But Peace and
blame
Freedom...
the whole left for not supporting everything and being everywhere
That's not everything. So you're saying the Iranian Revolution was not important?
No, I'm not.
Well,
I've always... Which Iranian Revolution are you talking about?
The Women Life Freedom Movement.
So I consider the important thing about Iranian history that we have come out about is getting rid of Mossadegh.
I'm sorry, say it again?
The CIA offing Mossadegh and turning the country into what it is. Right? I mean, that's the natural result of not allowing countries to have their own sovereignty, of coming in to protect oil interests, and that's what happened in Iran. And as a result of this, there's a regime that is extremely oppressive, extremely fundamentalist and oppressive against women. So, yeah, I mean, we oppose that type of intervention that the United States does, and we want to get to the core.
So you're blaming the United States. So what I'm hearing,
the United States and Britain.
So here's so here's what I'm hearing from you, as well as the rest of the campus left, is if it's a movement against a government that is in conflict with the United States, we support them. Or if it's a movement that, or rather we oppose them, we don't support them. If it's a movement against a government that is in alliance with the United States, then we support that movement. In other words,
that's what I said.
well, look at, but hold on.
Yeah,
okay. Another huge issue for me has been the near total absence of the labor movement in the whole struggle against Trump and MAGA. And that absence is due to the leadership of the movement. So here, I tried to interview somebody from the leadership of SEIU. You see what success I had. I wonder if one of you would do an interview for my blog site, Oakland Socialist. I'm just curious, how come there's nothing on your website about this protest? Can somebody answer that? Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm curious why it is that there's nothing on your website about the No Kings March. Can you explain that? No answer. So I tried to interview one of those ferocious revolutionaries, in this case from Socialist Alternative. I wanted to ask them what their view was of the absence of the labor leadership. They wouldn't talk to me, but I did get a chance to ask this individual here from Party for Socialism and Liberation. How's it going? Hey, I'm with Oakland Socialist. I was wondering if you'd like to answer a few questions.
I can answer one question. I'm kind of like...
Okay. My question is, at all these things you see the unions totally missing in action. They don't, the unions, the labor movement, totally missing. They don't have anything on their blog sites. They don't mobilize their membership. So how do you explain that? And what do you, as your organization, what are you doing about it?
Well, there are definitely some unions out here today.
No, well, they have, but that's not that's 10, 20 members. Come on. Yeah. And I'll bet you 90% of them are staffers.
Yeah, I think like that. I think we can see from the recent general strike in Minneapolis that labor. I think we can see from the recent strike in Minneapolis that labor is on the rise. There's been a long history of the labor movement being targeted the socialist communist movement within the labor movement being targeted, leadership within the labor movement being targeted. And for many years, the labor movement, has had leadership that is focused more on advocacy and on sort of like, working with Democratic Party. But there's more and more now a push for organizing the base of membership of unions. And
But
I'm
where
really
are they doing that? They're not doing that here.
Yeah, you have to talk to people in labor, but I can't comment on more on that because I'm not in labor.
Oh, okay.
There's lots of great unions around.
Thank you. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Nazi-friendly Tucker Carlson is more outspoken than the main leader of the Democratic Party, Chuck Schumer, and the so-called socialist left is silent about the betrayals of the union leadership and is more friendly to Vladimir Putin than they are to the working class of Iran or Ukraine. I'm telling you folks, if there's not a new movement of the working class that sweeps all this garbage out of the way, we are in sad shape.